So YouTube kind of like took me down to London, wined and dined me, spent time in YouTube offices, in the Google offices, in the YouTube space, which is a big place in London. And they taught me all about this stuff, and they got me like really pumped, to say the least, about kind of using YouTube to my advantage and really going for it, taking it full time. And I was like, look, I haven't got a job. I'm outside of university. I'm not allowed a normal 9-to-5 job. Why don't I give this YouTube thing a try? Like, why don't I just put content out there and see what happens? So I did. I put content out. I worked every single day, putting content out, getting no money. And it came to a breaking point where, and this is where my attitude kind of shifted, and how I became into me, and kind of like my story, right? How I turn challenges into abilities, and how I overcome problems. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, because this is more of like me as a person and how I see things, how I see the world. It's just fascinating, and I love it. So I was like, my partner and I were living in an apartment, and it was rented. And I was doing this YouTube stuff, and she was a special educational needs teacher assistant in a SEN school here on the island we live at. It's a state-of-the-art, like, £5 million building. And she was a specialist in autism. So it was kind of cool. That's how we get along, right? And then we found out we were having our first ever child. And I was like, holy smokes, something has to give, because, she's going to be off work. I'm currently like building this YouTube stuff. So I had this like thought, like, I had no other option. This had to work. I had to be able to monetize. I had to be able to turn my YouTube into a business that not only was able to benefit my audience who had autism and help them to their best advantage, because that's my goal. My goal is to help people. That's all it is. But I needed to be able to sustain income so I could keep doing this for people. So I was like, holy smokes. So I did it. I took the plunge, and I went self-employed, and my partner came off work, and for months and months, I mean, like, best part of a year, we were just breaking even, making sure the bills. But the most interesting thing was I was helping people on a daily basis, and we were living independently. Like, there was such a great feeling to know that I could make a difference in the world, and the universe was rewarding me for doing that. So that was kind of like my first step into thinking, like, hey, if we take risks and stuff, if we actually just take the risk, we have no other option. Like, if you have to go forward, like, in desperate times, you'll come up with the best solutions. And that was exactly what happened. So since then, I've done all kinds of stuff. Like, I've pioneered the first ever neurodiverse panel talk at VidCon in Anaheim, USA, which was it's the biggest ever online social media conference in existence. Footfall, something like 65,000 people over like 3 days, which is absolutely just insane. I did the same thing, helped flagship a neurodiverse panel in Comic-Con in London, or the MCM Comic-Con in London. I did a keynote talk in Spain. I briefed the European Parliament on the gap between autism and employment, and the amount of autistic individuals who are outside of employment, which is 80%, by the way. 80% of autistic people do not have jobs. And then just traveling, just literally traveling the world, doing different keynote talks and speeches, and releasing books, doing coaching seminars, and coaching clients independently, making YouTube videos, and then building a team to help me do this. It's absolutely just crazy where my life is right now. And I'm going to go through some of the challenges that I faced in doing so. So the first challenge I come across is I'm dyslexic, really dyslexic. Like, I can't spell for nothing. Like, I can't spell. I can't read that well. And so how do I learn things, and how do I produce content? Well, the most amazing thing to me was two gadgets I have in my possession, or in my arsenal, right? And the first one is the trusty iPad. Like, without my iPad, I don't think I could exist, right? Because all of everything down to my medication is scheduled in my iPad. My iPad alerts me every day. It says, take your medication, don't forget. If I, dyslexia and autism has an interesting combination where if you are told, hey, Dan, you have to be in this place at this time on this day, ain't never going to happen. I'm never going to remember that. But if I ask my iPad to, if I use the integrated AI, saying, hey, Siri, blah, 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 they will book that into my calendar on my list, and it will be there, and it will remind me on that day. And you can ask them to repeat those things. So having technology 10x's my life. It takes all the stress out of the executive function or executive dysfunction issues that I have, and puts them into an integrated system or an ecosystem built by Apple. And this is why I have the Apple Watch, a Mac, the iPad and the iPhone and things like that, because those tools aren't just fun gadgets that are very expensive. Yes, they are expensive, but oh my goodness, they improve my condition of life exponentially. Like if I didn't have these, I would not be able to do what I do today. So that's kind of the first one. Now, understanding people, people are difficult to understand. When you work for yourself, like me, and you're a YouTuber and you're sitting in your office, like I'm in my studio right now and it's just me here, right? But I have a team of people and we communicate through WhatsApp. And the cool thing about it is I can highlight the text, put it into Google and be like, what does this mean? What are they trying to say to me here? So technology, again, just helps 10x my life. It's just kind of gone, hey, we can help where you kind of are feeling the pinch of difficulty. I'm a dyslexic author, right? How does a dyslexic guy write a book? How does a dyslexic guy with ADHD sit down and write a book? And not only that, how did he write his book that's bestseller in 3 countries, the USA, UK, and Canada, on autism? Within 24 hours, it got a bestseller on Amazon. How does that happen, right? I wrote the book in 2 weeks. And people think I'm crazy. Like, how do you write a book in 2 weeks? How do you write a best-selling book in 2 weeks? It's very, very simple. I can write a best-selling book every single week, but the problem is I have no need to do that, right? Look, I'm gonna say a few things about this. I'm going to tell you the technique. I'm going to tell you the reasons why, and my attitude towards it. So the technique was I wanted to dictate to my iPhone a speech-to-text dictation, the whole book, because I knew that my iPhone can spell the words that I can say in my lexicon, but I can't spell them. So I wanted to speak to my iPhone, but there was another issue, concentration. For me to sit down and talk to my iPhone, that's never going to happen. But one thing I noticed, that I go running every day. I just go running every day. It's every other day now, just lowering that load just for a little bit. And when I was on a run, I'd get text messages from people. So I pick up my phone and I talk. And I write out a text message, and see, these are some of the text messages the best text messages I've ever written. And I was like, holy smokes, I get what's going on here. My body is getting proprioception activation from tactile feedback. I'm running and I'm getting tactile feedback, which is keeping my mind focused. So the ADHD brain, which is kind of wanting to go crazy, is getting this constant focus and discipline from the run I'm on. So my analytical mind could be free to focus on the work that at hand. So I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to run on the treadmill in the gym, because I've got a gym in my house. And I will run on there for an hour and I'll talk to my phone and I'll do each chapter like that. So I planned out 8 days in a row where I'd run for 1 hour on the treadmill every day. And I just dictate my book to my phone. And that's what I did. And on the 9th day, I put it into an AI tool called Grammarly to make sure that the grammar and spelling was okay. And the book became ready, sent to the editors, and then when the editors got it, they were happy with it. Small edits, took another week, book's done. That is how you take action. And people say, well, how on earth did you manage to know what to write in a book? And I said the same thing every time I do an interview on radio, when I do an interview on TV, if I do an interview in a magazine, if I do a podcast. People say, do you want the questions ahead of time? I said, absolutely not. I know what I'm going to say. That's the reason you're interviewing me, right? If I needed to research answers from me, then maybe I'm not the person you should be interviewing. So when people take 6 years to research a book, right, to write it, I'm thinking, do they really know what they're wanting to talk about in the book, or are they just writing a book for the sake of writing a book? I could write any book I wanted to write easily within 2 weeks, because I know what I want to say. I know those things. That is my story. That's my thing. That's my book. That's what I'm going to write. So that was it. So why did I take this approach? Why did I want to write it within 2 weeks, right? And it all comes down to something very interesting. And this is kind of like my global universal mantra. If you want to have massive impact in the world, you have to take massive action, right? So energy in is equal to energy it comes out. Kind of like if you wanted a 6-pack and a body to be, bodybuilder body, you have to put that work in. You don't just sit at home and look at the TV and just hope for it, willingness. You go to the gym every day and you work hard, right? Because anything that's worth having should be hard work. You can't just fall out of bed and all of a sudden you got a 6-pack, or all of a sudden you're an international best-selling author. Those things don't just happen. You have to take massive action. Luck does not happen. There was a quote by somebody that said, the harder I work, the luckier I get. And they're absolutely right. It's down to the attitude you have. People just think that playing the lottery or hoping and wishing on a star that they're going to bump into somebody that's going to help them. No, you need to take action, and you need to take action now. Not only do you need to take action, you need to take massive action. This is my principle. It's called the 10X principle, and this is my attitude, right? And I came to this realization, very interesting. After my YouTube channel started gaining mass, and people started asking for more help, and people wanted more like intricate information, because I was at this point talking a lot about my thoughts and processes and programs. And people said I'm a really interesting person, and that my insight into the world and how I see my vision on the universe is slightly different to the average person, because obviously I would say I'm extraordinary, because my autism gives me the ability to be extraordinary, to act extraordinary, and to take extraordinary action. And this was interesting. I realized that the odds of being a human, being alive right now, are 400 trillion to 1, right? Now, I don't gamble, but if I did, I would never take something with 400 trillion to 1 odds, because, I mean, you've got more chance of never existing ever in the black hole of nothingness of space than you have being a human on this planet. So that's a pretty big deal. If you're walking around right now, listen to this, you're a miracle. You're a walking miracle, which is absolutely amazing. So it gives me the pride of being a human. Then I realized something even more profound. I was like, holy smokes. My DNA, the reason I'm here today is because my family lineage has survived everything from Homo sapiens, hunter-gatherers traveling across Europe and the Balkans and stuff like that, and then fighting saber-toothed tigers and glaciers and ice ages, and then like the Robin Hood times and the kings and queens, and then, you know, plague, Ebola, everything that's happened, the World War I, World War II, cholera, the Spanish flu, COVID, everything that's happened up to this point has made my DNA resilient to the dissemination of my lineage, and I'm here. I'm here right now because of the resilience of my DNA, and I'm like, wow, that is something to be really proud of. Not only 400 trillion to 1 odds of being alive, but when you were alive, you've kept that sequence going. So keep going, dude. You're making progress. I realized that this was not just a torch. This was a fire that I had to keep burning, and there's a fire that burns in my belly, and it changed my whole perception of reality. Because not only, I use this in my business. I don't look at something and think, you know, oh, it's a problem, you know, because there's 2 reasons why. First of all, if you're gaining new problems every day, you're moving in the right direction. Because when you stand still and you create no problems, that's great, you have no problems, but you're also standing still. And what happens when you stand still? Nothing happens. You do not progress. If anything, you will digress. You will kind of decease, because there is you can't improve upon just standing still other than going backwards, right? Because if you feel like you've reached the peak, you can constantly progress and move forward. So if you are progressing forward, you're getting a new problem, which means it's an indicator that you're moving forward in the right direction. If you're going to take action, you're going to get a problem, and that's great. The second reason why problems are awesome, because there is no such thing as a problem. And I realized this quite profoundly. All we have in life are potentials towards solutions. And let's put it this way. When we think about the basic binary black and white of reality, a problem can only exist. And the only reason we know it's a problem is because a solution exists to highlight that the solution is the solution and the problem is the problem. So when we're looking at it, we have a choice. We can see a problem and get stuck in our own self-pity, or we can diminish the problem and think, hey, we have a potential towards a solution. How do we drive towards a solution? That is my mindset. We don't have problems. We have potentials towards solutions. Let's figure it out. Say yes. Let's go. There is no reason why you can't figure it out. Again, your DNA has just survived the last 3,000 years to this point, you know, fighting off saber-toothed tigers and like woolly mammoths and stuff. And then there's me here being like, oh, they haven't got my bread and Subway. My life is ruined. No. It's time to just fire that fire up and be like, dude, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so ready to, like, I'll flip a table or something, or jump out of a plane, and, like, you know, all this cool stuff. And so I realized there's never any turning back. People say to me, like, how do you get a project from idea to fruition, right? With my YouTube channel, like, I wanted 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. I was adamant. I was like, okay, cool, I'll do it. I'll get 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. What do I need to do? I need to learn how to work the system. I need to know how YouTube distribution algorithm works. How do I make my content the best that it's going to show up in everyone's feeds? Did it. Nailed it. Got 260,000 subscribers. So not only have I got 100,000 subscribers, I'm actually on my way to tripling that, you know? So anything you can imagine can make a goal, right? Maybe that was the problem as well. I set my goal too small. I set my goal at 100,000 subscribers, and now I'm almost at 300,000 subscribers. How do you do this? This is another thing about goal setting. This is how I achieve everything. When you're setting a goal, and I'm going to give you an example here. You set a goal for something that you want. Say you wanted a bicycle and it's $1,000. You say, okay, I've got a goal of raising $1,000 for a bicycle. If you come up short, on $1,000 for your bicycle, you can't get the bicycle. But if I said, set your goals way higher than you expect. So set it for $50,000 or $10,000 or even $5,000. If you set a goal, $5,000 to buy $1,000 bike, if you came up short on a $5,000 target, you'd still be able to buy the bike. So always set your goals unimaginably higher than you ever thought, because you will be reaching further. I think it was Oscar Wilde said something like, if you aim for the moon, you'll end up among the stars, right? And he's absolutely right. And how we do this is like setting goals is not a matter of competition. And the reason I say this is because I don't look at anything as a competition. I don't look at people, other businesses in my business, and I'll get into all my business assets in a minute, but I don't look at my business as in competition with other businesses. I look at, hey, how can I dominate this entire sector? I don't want to just be the same. I want to compete. Why? Why is this a profound idea? Because if you compete within a space, what happens is you have a 50% chance of losing. So you have 50% chance of winning, 50% chance of losing. If you aim to dominate the space, you will always win. And I do that by many different ways. And I look at how I could dominate it. And the key to this, if you want to take this as a takeaway, do what others won't do. People won't talk about Asperger's syndrome because of the potential collusion with Nazis. People don't want to talk about terms like autism speaks or, other kind of potentially troublesome topics. I will. That's how I win. So that being said, I attack every day like I'm just about to smash it. I wake up every day and I'm like, I'm going to smash my goals today. I'm going to absolutely get them done because I am determined to make sure that every single day counts, because every day I'm edging closer to my death, because we all are, right? The moment we're born, we're dying, right? And that's a good thing because we're all normal, we're all human. But I want to make that count. I want to make impact in the history books. My goal is to change the world for the better. I want to do amazing things. I want to give accessibility to every single type of disabled person on the planet to make sure that they can reach and obtain the same amount of goals and increase their potential towards not just surviving, thriving in reality, just like I can. And I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to open up healthcare units all over the world, wherever people can't get healthcare, universally open it so they can get free at the point of use healthcare. I'm going to do this. This is a crazy ambitious goal, but I do not care because nothing is going to stand in my way. This is all about how I'm going to do it. 52 million people in America, United States of America, can't go and see a doctor when they're sick because they have no healthcare, because the system is completely just to put in the moment. So all those things have to change, and I'm going to do it. And you start right now by advocating for yourself, right? If you advocate for your rights in your local area, you can make a change, make a difference. But I start right now by advocating for autism. This is my first goal. I get autism, in check, in line, and then I get the rest of it. I am on a 10x attitude shift towards beaming like the sun on my mission to save every single person from just complete and utter, like, oh, I can't reach my potential. No. We all have potential, and we want to unlock that potential and urge ourselves towards an existence full of prosperity. It's going to be amazing, and I am so pumped. Like, I could literally flip a table right now. I'm so pumped. So that is my story. That's my journey. Now, my business is I am a social media distribution of content creator. So I create content on autism education, ADHD, and I distribute that across all my channels. I put out 180 plus pieces of content every single day across all social media platforms in every format. If you want audio, audiogram, podcast, blog post, YouTube video, TikTok, whatever you want, it's there. Go find it. Honestly, a Facebook article, like everything you can think of, every single social media outlet, you have to be there because I want to be omnipresent, because I want to dominate this sector. This is how I win at everything, because I know that what I have is a goal to help people towards their finest potential, right? And then second to that, I actually consult with businesses to help them grow their online businesses, to help them manage them better and create more value for their audience in exchange for a monetary kind of return. So if you want, if you're selling a course, how to improve someone's life, well, make sure that it is improving that person's life and they'll pay you to do it, right? Those kind of things. I consult with those. And I also run a social media marketing agency where I help people just up the amount of content they're putting out and really understand the distribution of Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all those things, because those are amazing platforms for getting such good messages out, and you have to be able to just annihilate those. And I do a bunch of other different things. Like I said, I'm a director of a company called Authentic, and we make AI solutions for autistic individuals and disabled individuals to help increase their potential towards just such a fruitful life of being able to access and have the accessibility level that anybody else can have. And so we're busy doing all those things right now, and you can check out authentic.com or authentic.ai right now, and you can just check out all those. If you're interested in any of the work that that I do, any of the consulting, any of the one-on-one consultations, or my coaching programs, you can check everything out at theaspieworld.com. That's my hub, that's my website. You can get everything on there. And my daily blog. That's right, I upload at least one blog every single day. Thanks for listening.